his essays, the dice of God are always loaded. And that was kind of scary to me when I was in my late 20s to hear that, but now I understand it differently. What that means is things come around and around and around, and eventually, hopefully, we're willing to, as they unfold, we're willing to consider what life is offering us. And nothing is happening to us. Rather, the things that we bring into our life are all happening for us to bring us to a higher place. So the question, again, for today is, how well do you handle things? How well do you bounce when things aren't working out? How well do you handle the tough days? Because we all have days, right, where things can be disappointing, where there are ups and downs. Are you somebody who experiences a lot of sadness or maybe grief in your day-to-day living? I know there's people out there who are going through grief right now. And it's normal to experience a wide array of emotions, but it's not so normal to experience some of these emotions that I'm describing as an ongoing way of life. So again, do you experience a lot of sadness? Have you been? And have you been doing so for a while? Or grief in your day-to-day experience? Do you find yourself being more disappointed than glad and accepting and joyous and free? What is it like being you, usually, day by day? These are questions I ask many Thursday afternoons in this class, because we want to have some reflection about some of these subjects. What is it like being you? Jimmy mentioned earlier, is a question that I ask most Thursday afternoons. It's something to reflect upon when you're by yourself rather than answer to us. Because if my life is full of upset and resentment and anger, and if I'm always coming from this broken place and disconnected place, the thing that I need to realize is I am creating my life from this place. And you can change that. We have the tools here to teach you, that you can change that. Another question is, how adaptable are you when things are not going the way you want? How well do you bounce? In this class, especially every Thursday, we learn the value of positive self-talk. We learn that in our groups, in our lessons, in our gatherings, because you have power that some of you are aware of, because I know you've been involved for quite a while. There's power for good in the universe, Ernest Holmes taught, and he said you can use it, and you are using it. Thing is, a lot of people just out there reacting and living their lives. They react to everything, and they start their day out well, and then something happens, and then there's an argument, and the whole day is like that. And as you come into a place like this, into a teaching like this, we're wanting you to learn that you have power available to you to use, where you have dominion in many aspects of your life. You can create peace and prosperity and health and healing. You have that power, but you have to somehow learn to harness that power. We've taught this teaching to children. Usually it's a quick start group where you see a stagecoach, which represents you and the place that you live. And you can imagine for the 2020s, it's a beautiful stagecoach. And in front of you is a team of stallions. And the idea is, with the power that you have in your consciousness, you're basically driving everything. But if you don't get up in the front of that platform and take the reins, you're just going to keep going either in circles, or you're going to be going off ravines and into cliffs. The invitation in our teaching is to step out of the comfort zone of your coach and onto the platform and pick up the reins and use it. So our founder, who was the main inspiration for the Louise Hay material, was Ernest Holmes. He said, you have executive power. You can heal your life if you learn how to use this power. So part of it is we have to pay attention to that inner dialogue that you hear me bringing up so often, because that inner dialogue is running within you all the time, 24 hours a day. That's the conversation that's most important, is the one you're having with yourself. And it is also the most creative thing in the world. Another New Thought author, Florence Scovel Shinn, I believe it was, wrote a book entitled Your Word is Your Wand. And she wasn't just talking about your spoken word. She was talking about your consciousness, your thoughts, your thinking, your emotions. It was a brilliant title because it speaks of this issue. It speaks of the power that you possess, meaning your thoughts, your feelings, your dialogue in total are received. If I'm living with myself and by myself, and I have a whole bunch of thoughts, most of them are life-giving and positive, and then I have other areas that maybe are not so positive, but the totality of that is my consciousness, and that is creating my life. And once I understand that, then I understand, okay, if I want to have this thing work out in an improved fashion, then I need to pay attention to what it is that I'm spinning, what stories I'm spinning, what thoughts I'm thinking. It's one thing to walk around and be in our classes and be in the world and our jobs and saying I'm okay and I'm fine, but it's what lies beneath. It's what really is living within you, day in and day out, that is being projected into your world and really creating your life experience. In our teaching and in the practice of our teaching, we learn that our thoughts, our thinking, our feelings are being reflected much like a mirror into the world. You can't get past your consciousness. You'll trip yourself up right and left. You can act like you're, got it all together, but the thing is, your consciousness is revealed, it's reflected, and it's the only thing that, really, that if you want to ascend and you want to hitch your wagon to the stars and you want to meet your goals and you want to have a happier and healthier life, that's the area that we work on. We're not here to work on other people. We're here to work on our own perspective and our own consciousness. So we always remind you that the thing that we come to understand here is that life is responding to each and every one of us all the time, and it always has been. So you've always been using this power. It's just sometimes we have not been using it intelligently. Sometimes we've been using it destructively. If I have an inner mantra, bunch of thoughts that would say, oh, look, I'm a failure, I'm a loser, I'm no good. If we have a sense that we've really screwed up in our life and we have a very low opinion of ourselves, and if we nurture all those negative ideas, they're projected in our life, and the universe essentially is saying, you're right. From the movie The Secret years ago, there was the genie in the sky. Some of you have seen it. And the line that ran through that entire movie is, your wish is my command. And all that movie was trying to say is life is accepting you at your own value. And if you think of yourself as good and a success and wonderful and all of that, that is what gets reflected. If your self-esteem is low and your opinion of yourself is low, you'll bring in all the people and things that are going to reflect what you believe, and those will be your opportunities to step up and step out of that. This teaching is very interesting because once you understand how it works, you can learn to work with it. And then there can be a quickening, and you can demonstrate a better life much more quickly as you begin to work with the teaching. I remember encountering a teacher of this teaching in Boca, a place in Florida, South Florida, by a very wise person, a practitioner, and I got to know her well. And she said to me, I had a Catholic upbringing, and I had some of this ideas of guilt and shame and different things, and I had done work on myself, but there's lingering things. And she said, Greg, you were the child of a lesser God, and I didn't exactly know what she was talking about. And she continued to explain, because I had faith in a spirit. And she said, I know that you've prayed and prayed a lot, and you've had faith, and you were raised in a faith. And when you're in trouble, you prayed, and you prayed for things to get better, and you had gratitude. And I said, yeah, I did all that. And you prayed for things to change, and events to change, and people to change. And she said, also, I bet you were disappointed quite often. Sometimes you thought that your prayers never were answered. And she said, I'm sure at times you were angry about what you saw happening in life. And I was agreeing with her. It seemed as though whatever God there was, was absent or capricious. There sometimes and oftentimes not. And then I recall her telling me something that was very important, which has lived with me all these years. Because my concept was God would reward and punish and inflict things upon people and do all kinds of things. And she went on to say to me that each of us have been established in divine love. Each of us were born into divine energy, and that we could release the idea of having original sin, or we could release the idea of needing to be saved. And then she said the most important thing of it all. She said, I want you to understand something. She said, the universe, this great source of energy that permeates all things and all people, is much greater than anything that I could ever personally conceive. And that it's not far off, rather it is within. It's within me, it's within all of us and all around us. And then the thing, she said, is, and the thing I want you to understand is it responds to every thought you think. She says, clearly you were the child of a lesser idea because you were praying to something that sometimes responded and sometimes didn't. She said, but I want you to understand that the universe so loves you and everybody, right, that it responds to every single thought you think. Now, it doesn't really get any better than that, I'll tell you straight up. That's the whole key to it. The universe so loves you that it responds to every thought you're thinking. So if I look at my life and I see what's there, and I see what isn't there, and I see what's working and what isn't working, I come right back to Louise Hay, who said we're each responsible for all the things that are happening in our life. Nobody's teaching us that, least of all Louise, that we're to blame for anything. We have a level of consciousness. We're developed to a certain point in time, place and time, and all of us are in a different place. So life is responding to you and your level of awareness today. And I can say that for myself right now, and I can say it for everybody who's listening to this broadcast, who will be listening to it through the week. I know there'll be several hundred people throughout the week. And I'll say it again, life is responding to you and at your level of understanding, and it's responding to you perfectly. So ultimately, what we're always doing here each week is we're attempting to remind ourselves of this, that there is this power that's in us and operates through us, and that it responds to us perfectly all the time. Louise Hay would say, I trust the process of life, because she knew that life was sustaining us, and we're here to remind you that life is sustaining you always. As you learn to invite spirit into your awareness and know that you're supplied and supported, and really know it deeply, you're getting on that stagecoach again, and you're able to direct the course, because as you start to align yourself with greater ideas, being supplied and supported, and you have available to you all that you need. There is that which is within you that knows what to do and will know what to do. You'll be taking and steering yourself in a different direction. So this power resides within all of us. That it has been called the best kept secret of the ages, that the spirit is within you. This spirit that animates all of life is in you, operating through you, as you. So if you bring Louise Hay into this discussion, and she had great spiritual awareness, She stated it all over and over again, all healing is self-healing. When we're talking about other people and what they're doing and other nations and other groups and all of that, there's the mistake. The thing is, it's our perceptions always that we work with. She said, you have the power. You don't believe you have the power, and you forget that you have the power. You can heal just about whatever it is that's in your life if you really want to. But you must really want to. Each of us are wonderful creators in our own right. I just want you to know that each of us have been very busy creating our life up to now in our day-to-day living. As you begin to live what we call the affirmative life and use the affirmations, and use affirmative prayer, which is something we teach, please understand that your affirmations will work much better by expecting them to work. So just don't say them, begin to expect them to work. Take one of our classes where we'll teach you how to do affirmative prayer, where essentially what we're going to do is show you the process where your words are turned into beliefs. So in this class for tonight, for today, first of all, I want to celebrate each of you as being creators. And here you are, you're creating your own lives. And I want to also congratulate you on being in the call, in the broadcast, because usually when people start showing up to a place like this, that means there's a quickening and they're getting more interested in taking self-responsibility and knowing that they have the power. And we serve different things here, but we serve to remind you of how great you are and the power that you have. So I want you to know, and you might say to yourself, I have the power to reduce and eliminate stress. I have the power to take charge of the things that occupy my own mind. As I was preparing for this class a little bit, research, body-mind research and other research, quantum doctor, different places show that optimistic people, empowered people are less likely to get many illnesses from heart disease, colds. Optimistic people, people with faith like this are less likely to get sick and bring on dis-ease. I've been reading over the years that when we're embracing our wholeness and our connection with Source and well-being, when we're generally optimistic and calm, it looks like we're developing stronger, healthier bodies, stronger immune systems. There's even research that will suggest that we slow the aging process as we take a pause and we learn to reflect and experience more calmness. And on the other side of the coin, when we're continually stressed out, anxious, a lot of sadness and stress, our body reacts physically. For example, we might develop, as mentioned before, high blood pressure, heart disease, stomach ulcers, and all this type of stuff when we live with a lot of stress. Louise herself studied our teaching, which is all about spiritual realization and self-healing. We come to realize here that we are one with Spirit, we live in Spirit, and being one with it, as we realize this, we align ourselves with it more and more, and we quickly begin to understand that life is responding to us all the time. So don't look outside yourself, look within yourself in terms of what you're saying and what you're believing. Be quick to cancel the negative thoughts that you have when you find that my generation would say, if I'm tripping, if I'm in this place where I start to go to fear, doubt, and I start talking about other people, then I want to redirect myself quickly as I can. Being one with Spirit and being given the ability to choose and to manifest, you're creating endless experiences each and every day, Here's an expression I heard 30 years ago. Like attracts like. So whatever is living inside of myself, if it's peace and it's optimism and joy, if that's my day-to-day state for the most part, that state will attract, like will attract like. If fear and anger and resentment and all that stuff is living within me, you'll be amazed how you'll draw it to you like a magnet. So wherever we are in consciousness, along the way in the spectrum of life, it's important to know that life is evolving always. And wherever you are in this process, what you personally know and believe is being reflected back to you. You'll see it in your relationships, in your health, in your prosperity, and everything in the world is mirroring your consciousness. So let's get back for a second to our day-to-day living for a moment, where we're out there dealing with life on life's terms. You might be having an argument with somebody. I'm sure you've had one before, maybe today. Or there's things in your life that just aren't to your liking. In those moments we have with our ability to name things, right? We're inclined to judge people, places, and things as being bad. We might see a person and their behavior, and we might think that it's deficient or wrong or bad, or this is a bad person. When in reality, these people just have a different perception than you. And they have a different view, which is their prerogative. It's okay for them to have a different view. If you think about it, we know that we are all individualizations of spirit. And wouldn't it be logical to presume that everyone, is going to think differently, right? Because each of us are created in freedom. And it's important to understand that each of us are finding our way. Each and every one of us are in a different place, and all of us are learning and growing. But we forget this. And sometimes we react because people don't behave, and they never will. We've done many lessons on that. You can't change people. We make judgments, and then we tell stories about them and how this situation or that situation is a certain way. And we have a habit oftentimes of blaming people, places, and things, and that's always a mistake. We think about what happened to us in the past, and then we always bring our past into the present, and that's a mistake. What we attempt to do, Ram Dass wrote an important book years ago, we attempt to learn how to be here now and to see the opportunity and the good that's always available in the present. I don't want to be bringing my past into the present, because some people are living out events in the present that happened to them during their childhood. So we want to release the need to do that, and we want to know that, if we want to call it a kingdom, the power, the presence, the kingdom is at hand right now, and all the possibility to experience good is here now, and you can have that if you really want it. We want to get rid of the notion that there's something missing or there's something wrong or people are wrong, and that things won't work out. We want to get rid of all that stuff that we have held on to from a past that we project into a present. So in this teaching, this is what we do. We want to stop talking about people in general, especially the notion that there's bad people. As we get involved in this study of metaphysics, we learn to think differently. We start to understand that people are operating at different levels of consciousness, and they're all doing the best they can with the understanding and awareness they have. I was trained as a therapist to stop thinking in terms of bad people, and maybe if I had to think that way, I'd think maybe in terms of their behavior or things that they've done that we might not like or condone. But we are all people ourselves, and we're all unfolding incarnations of spirit, individualizations, if you will, of spirit. So if we got to talk and assess, let's talk in terms of behavior that you may not care for, rather than assigning blame to anyone. People, wherever they are growing and evolving the same way I am or you are. We are attempting to learn to live in a world where nothing and no one is against us. So we want to drop the idea of enemies and resentments and bad people. Most of us try to stay current with what goes on in the world. There's a lot of people out there that judge huge groups of people, and this can be any group. And this is even worse, because when you do that, you're making a lot of assumptions about individuals. And people can be judging families, communities, cultural groups, religions, and political groups. It could be anything. People judge everything, it seems. But it's not smart when we go to that place. of wholesale judgment, because we're forgetting the truth of everyone then. Everyone is an individualization of spirit. And then we're creating a whole group of people to be something or wrong or bad. And it's a big mistake. So you might think of some people as being smart or not so smart, generous or miserly, caring or violent, and you can come up with all these sweeping assessments, and I'm going to say straight up that they're always wrong. So hopefully as you enter this teaching, you're smarter than that, and you come into this teaching and you say to yourself, I release the need to do that. I'm not going to be labeling anyone. I know that everyone is doing the best that they can. Because now we realize, and we want to stop ourselves when we make generalizations about anything or anyone. Everyone is manifesting life at the level of their understanding. Sometimes it looks like there's division in our own world, in our families, in our country, in politics, and it appears that the world is going to hell. The idea that the house can't stand if it's divided. Well, I want to tell you from our lessons in the past that that's a false idea. The house is not really divided. It can't be, because the universe isn't divided either. It might appear to be divided, but it can't be ultimately. Even when there's an apparent division, when things look like they're falling apart, there is a divine activity that's always there, bringing things forward toward unity and to a higher place. The universe is always unfolding and moving towards ever and ever higher places. Everything is in divine order and unfolding in perfect time and place. Now, I hope that you can take some of those ideas in, because I just said a whole lot of spiritual principles. If you can take this in, you'll be able to release the need to worry, and you're going to begin to know truly that all is well. It's very unwise of us to create anyone as a bad person. I'm going to say it again, repeat it, and repeat a little metaphysical truth. There are no bad people in truth when you consider things from a spiritual standpoint. We know that everyone is doing the best they can with the information and awareness that they have. And when we really understand that, we can't judge anyone, and we want to release the need to judge them. We want to release the need to judge ourselves or anyone else. I mean, how can we judge anyone when we know that this is where they are by virtue of their consciousness, plain and simple? The greatest therapist used to ask that question of me many years ago. Whose problem is this anyway? Her gift to me was to have me see that when I had my nose out of joint and I was in judgment about anything, really it was my problem. Life is evolving perfectly in me and in the world. So we center ourselves in that activity that there is this perfect life in us, operating through us. It's in me, it's in the people in this room, it's in the world I know, and life is unfolding in perfection all the time. When we enter this teaching, we quickly learn to step aside and let go of many of our strong positions and our judgments about how life should be. In fact, we try to eliminate the word should altogether. People ask me, what is your position on this? Or what is your position on that? What is CSL's position? Or what is someone else's position on this or that? It's a very curious question, and I usually sidestep it and not answer it. I might say, we're about self-healing. We're not about division. We're not about talking about who's right and who's wrong. Really, it isn't our thing. We live in a continuum of life, and people are going to do and say many things. And we live in a country where, thankfully, people can express themselves. Do you think it would be wise of me to judge one is right and someone else is wrong? We know that people are evolving and evoluting along in their own perfect way. We know that this is a perfect life that's unfolding and that people are expressing themselves at their level of understanding. Recently, there's been a discussion about COVID and vaccination and all that. And I can certainly understand where people have their positions. And we honor everyone's positions and their choices, because we're metaphysicians first and foremost. We understand and celebrate the unity of life and the goodness of life that's in every single person. So there's a respect here for everybody, every type of person, every type of belief. Louise Hay taught, I'll close with one or two more things. She said, self-acceptance and self-approval are the keys to all positive changes. So we understand in our Sunday and our Thursday lessons that the change that we want to see in the world needs to happen within ourselves. And that's the work we do. I'd encourage everybody tonight on the call and who listens throughout the week to begin working with yourself. Begin seeing the good in you. Begin celebrating the good in you. Maybe have a gratitude list or take some time for meditation so you can remember the wonder and the beauty that exist right within you. I used to say in many lessons, you are sitting or standing, as you will, on holy ground, because the God that you're looking for is within you. And let go of the expectation of people to do anything. Let them be how they are. People have choices and the freedom of expression. This lesson was once a workshop, and so I think this would be an appropriate place to wind up. We're going to take a break in just a moment, and it'll be a minute, and then we open it up the floor for people just to say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm from wherever you are. The question we usually answer on Thursday is how things have been going. Or the question exactly is, what has it been like being me this week? Now I could say, well, I've been pretty good this week. I've been connected and I've been in harmony, and as a result, things have been peaceful and I've been feeling good and all of that. Or I might be answering another way if it were another week, like I've been in conflict and I've been creating a mess, and both answers are legitimate, so this is a time where I'd like you to say hello if you'd like, and where you're from, and how things are going for you. And the closing thought is you have the power to transform your life, and I'm glad you're here. So we'll see you in less than a minute. Thank you.